Don't tug my ascot, but don't pull my ascot. No, you can't have my ascot, 'cause girl, that's mine. It's so divine. No, you can't have my ascot, 'cause girl, it's mine, mine, mine.
All right, what's up, everybody? We are finally live here. Getting a little bit of a later start. Apologize for that, but we are here. We are back. Welcome to Kiss Meets the Podcast 4K, the crazy, crazy Kiss Countdown. You wanted the best. I am one of your hosts, Eli Clausen.
And I need to go up a little bit. There we go. All right.
All right. So this week we are up to a live 3. One of my favorite of the live albums, of course. It's definitely hard to pick between the first 3 for me, but I definitely enjoy listening to it just as much as I do the original 2. So always fun to revisit this one, and just again, I'm sure I'll do it throughout this, just like I did the last time we did it, and every other time. But I just rant and rave about how much I love Eric's drum sound, and even Bruce's guitar tones and everything on this whole album. So you'll probably hear that a lot throughout this whole thing, so try to ignore it. So while a couple quick pieces of news that's popped up since our last episode, it looks like Kiss is finally starting to listen to all of us fans that have complained about some official bootleg type material. It actually kind of got leaked out. I guess Kiss hasn't officially made the announcement yet, but it kind of got leaked and was quickly taken down. But basically they're starting up an official bootleg series called Off the Soundboard. Pretty basic packaging, kind of made to look like your typical bootlegs of the old days, which I don't have a problem with it. It's more about what's on the records. I mean, whatever. But anyway, it looks like the first edition is going to be from 2001. From one of the Japanese shows, and for the End of the Road, and actually that's the Eric Singer and Ace lineup, which we kind of talked about recently, being one of my favorite lineups I know. And apparently that's supposed to hit sometime in June, so we're still waiting on the official announcement, and then who knows how often they're going to be putting these things out. Is it going to be once a year, every couple months? Who knows? What's your thoughts on it?
I think that's really cool. I'm guessing that was probably somebody in their camp that was pushing, you should let us release some of this, you should let us release some of this, everybody's going to eat it up. But yeah, whoever finally got through and got the big okay, genius on your part, because all of us out here that want more than the official releases, geez, that's we're gonna be broke. We're gonna be broke.
Yeah, I've seen people saying like, "Oh, I already have this show bootleg or whatever," but I'm guessing that this will hopefully be better quality than what's out there on bootleg, and better mixing and all that stuff, and maybe even get some things that aren't on the bootleg. And then people's tossed around the ideas of some of the really like super rare things that people want, like say the Cadillac High show that they did back in 75, because they did record that, things like that. So who knows, we may get some super rare cool stuff like that down the road. But I'm just glad to hear that they're going to finally start doing something like this. I think it'd be a good idea, depending on how often they plan on releasing them, but I think it'd be a good idea to just set it up as like a subscription service. It would just save that trouble to have to sit there and try to keep track and getting on the website and ordering it every time it's announced. It'd be easy to just set up like a yearly plan, and however many you're going to get within that year, whether it's like 4 releases or 6, whatever, that'd be a cool, I think it'd be cool to do it that way. So kind of keeping my fingers crossed personally that they maybe announce something along those lines to make it a little bit easier for all of us. The other quick thing is they announced a 45th anniversary edition of the Shout It Out Loud single on 7-inch. It's actually already available. I noticed some people's already started getting it. So really all it is it's I'm forgetting the cover. I want to say it's maybe like the Netherlands cover, and then they pressed it on a special like orange vinyl, and it's just the Shout It Out Loud with I believe Sweet Pain on the B side. Just another single anniversary edition on the orange vinyl. So I personally don't plan on getting that, but hey, more power to all y'all that get it. It does look nice, but I mean, who knows, if I ever stumble across it in person and it's the right price, I may grab it just for the sake of it, but I definitely don't plan to order it or anything. But pretty cool that they're now doing anniversary editions of even just singles now. So we're definitely getting a wide variety of stuff. So definitely some cool things on the horizon there. Pretty excited. Hey, what's up, David? And of course the KISS show that's scheduled for our area in Dayton in September. Hopefully, I've got a good feeling that that's going to happen because it looks like things are starting to turn for the better around here. It looks like we could be within a few weeks or even a month or two away from dropping the whole mask mandate based on what our governor was saying. So I'm getting a little excited and more hopeful that this is going to be a much better summer and things are going to kind of get back to normal, It
would be great, yes.
Yeah, that's right, David. Columbia House KISS style, bootleg style. Yeah, that's what we need. All right, so since we were away for a week there, let's do our thing. Let's get caught up with these polls and all that stuff, and we'll get on into this album.
Absolutely. All right, so a few comments on the last episode from a couple of weeks ago, the Revenge episode. We got Ronnie Parker. Ronnie says, I remember the night I saw the Unholy video. I was like, what did I just see? I was blown away by the heaviness of the song and the video itself. Very solid album. I have always wondered if Eric Carr had not passed away, what would the direction of the band had taken? What would their image for the band look like, and the album also? I think it's a KISS lost album we never got to hear due to the circumstances in 1991. Guys, you make my Friday evening so awesome. Keep rocking. Space Ace Ron.
Oh, man. Appreciate it, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think we got into that talk a little more on that episode, and I know we were definitely talking about it, I think even on Hot in the Shade, about the whole Eric and situation and how the band might have went on. So let us know your thoughts, man, because if you happen to miss it, go back and check out one of them episodes and you'll hear our side of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we've talked about that probably several times, the idea behind would the reunion tour have happened, if it had and Peter had left again, would they have got Eric Carr back? Would they let him do the Fox makeup again? All sorts of interesting thought topics there.
Yeah, like who knows? Eric maybe would have left maybe he would have left the band and went on and started his own band or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
He could have ended up, playing and with Ace or something for all we know. Who knows?
Right. I feel like kind of similar to what Bruce and Eric Singer did. I feel like the two of them would have done something if they had been, shoot out. Essentially, they would have started their own thing probably.
So I feel like Eric and Ace got along pretty well, even though they weren't in the band entirely long time together. But excuse me. But even the way Ace will still talk about Eric to this day, you could tell that they must have had a definitely a bond there. So
right. We also got a comment from Tom Dust. Tom says, wow, Anthony X, absolutely love the book. I've tweeted about that book a couple of times over the years and stand by my statement that it's my favorite of all the KISS books I've read. So cool to put a face to the name.
Wow, very cool, man.
Absolutely.
Anthony, I hope you hear that, man, because it's a shame you weren't on the episode to hear that comment. But
yes, actually, Anthony has replied to that comment thanking him. So
well, there you go.
Awesome, yes.
Awesome, man, yeah. And again, I'll say it, if you guys haven't read the book or picked it up, it's highly recommended. And if that comment doesn't tell you something there, yeah, you guys should definitely check it out.
Absolutely. We got a comment from Robbie Stars. Robbie says, great episode. Revenge was refreshing at the time of its release. If Kiss would have decided to make another Hot in the Shade type of album instead, Kiss would have ended. Nobody wanted to hear that music, so Kiss came back with a ballsy album to stay in the game because grunge and heavy metal were still alive at the time, so it was a good move in my opinion. If Revenge was never made, maybe the original lineup would have gotten back together in 92 instead of 96. Rock on, Luke, and the rest of the gang.
Yeah, again, it's one of them things. I don't know. I mean, because supposedly there were talks of it that early that they almost did the reunion around that time, I think, but just things didn't line up at that point. And, and again, we kind of discussed that. It is what it is. And yeah, it was exciting and all that. But now that I look, like I was saying before, looking back in hindsight, I almost kind of wish it didn't happen in a way. I would have liked to have seen the band continue on a more positive note, not knowing that there was a lot of turmoil after all. And, it's a shame, but
definitely. Let's see. We got a comment from Mick C. Horror and Pop Culture. Mick says, great show.
Thanks, man. I'm liking these new names that I'm hearing. A lot of new names.
Absolutely, yes. Very much appreciated. Comment from Thomas, Rain in Adamstown. Thomas says, that was very interesting. I love the songs and the production, but the flow of the album, the song order is really bad. Good to see that I'm not the only one who thinks that way. That's the reason why I have a playlist and don't listen to the original. His playlist for Revenge is Unholy, Take It Off, Thou Shalt Not, Tough Love, I Just Wanna, Domino, Heart of Chrome, Every Time I Look at You, Spit, God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. Notice Car Jam not on there.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. He also says, I give the original album 8 points. His top 3 songs, Unholy, Thou Shalt Not, and Summertime Blues. He said, it was great how the band was dressed that time and the stage set looked so cool. Did they buy it from Van Halen? I wish... What's that?
Sorry, I was saying, speaking of Mixie, Horror, and Pop Culture, there he is. How's it going, man?
Hi.
He said he purchased the Live 3 at the official Kiss convention. Very cool, man.
Nice.
I wish I could have went to that. I've seen plenty of video and, all that stuff. I bet that was a great thing to experience.
Oh, yeah, that would have been something to be at. Last comment we got from Chuck McFarland. He gave us his rankings for Revenge. He gave it a 7 overall, and his top 3 were Heart of Chrome, Thou Shalt Not, and Unholy.
Cool.
All right, so... let's see here. So, yeah, I had forgotten, actually, we need to do 2 weeks of results here, not 1. 3, 4, 5.
Thanks, Mick. We really, truly appreciate that, man. We love the support.
Yes, absolutely. Very much appreciated. All right, so it's time for the basically weekly announcement about our tournaments. Regular viewers, you guys know this by now, but if you're brand new here, I'll tell you, we like to conduct huge Kiss tournaments over on Facebook. Of course, you can jump over to Facebook and search Kiss Meets the Podcast. Give our page a like. We would really appreciate it. Also, you can search for Kiss Meets the Podcast group, which is a private group where we do these tournaments. You do have to request access to join, but we accept everybody, so don't hesitate for a second. Get in there so that we can get in as many votes as we can on these polls. We just wrapped up a huge every single Kiss studio song tournament that was maybe a month ago or now, that ended with Creatures of the Night winning over every other studio song. So crazy results.
Absolutely. And I want to give a quick shout out to our boys over at Kiss and Tail. You guys can find the link on our page. Chris shared it, but they just recently did a video kind of in that same vein, but they went the opposite way. They said, what's the worst Kiss song of all time? And, they were able to condense it down into just doing it within one episode, but it was a very interesting watch and, hearing their takes and, see if you guys agree with what won or not. So go over and check that out for sure. Right
on. So right now we are conducting a tournament of all of the live album songs. So that's the official Kiss released live albums, all the songs from those. And we are still in round 1 right now. So don't hesitate to jump in. It's never too late to get in there. Even if you only vote on the final thing, don't ever worry about it. Jump in there because we're always going to have a new one. We post 6 matches a week. Everything is completely randomly generated, and boy, is it coming up with some interesting matches. Yeah, Dan, absolutely.
Dan Taft, what's up, man? Oh, yeah. I don't know if you heard at the beginning of the show, but I've always been ranting and raving about how much I love Eric's drum sound and Bruce's guitar tone on this album. I mean, the whole thing is, you said it, spot on.
Yep. All right, so real quick, let's talk results. 2 weeks ago, we posted 6 matches. The first one that we posted was I Was Made for Loving You from Alive 4 versus Going Blind from Alive 4. Going Blind took that 59%, so pretty close match there. We also posted Detroit Rock City from Kiss Rocks Vegas versus King of the Nighttime World from Alive 4. King of the Nighttime World takes it with 78%. I'm noticing so far of the stuff that we've posted, Kiss Rocks Vegas not getting a lot of love.
No.
Next one we posted was Unholy from Alive 3 versus Love Gun from Kiss Rocks Vegas. You probably guessed from my earlier comment, Unholy takes this with 89% of the vote. We also had Parasite from Alive versus Come On and Love Me from Alive. Parasite takes it with 80% of the vote. How many was that now? I've kind of lost track. That was 4. Okay, so then we also posted Deuce from the Millennium Concert versus God of Thunder from Alive 2. God of Thunder takes it with 92% of the vote. Almost a slam dunk there, yeah. And then we also posted I Love It Loud from the Millennium Concert versus Shout It Out Loud from the Millennium Concert. Shout It Out Loud takes it with 58% of the vote.
I can't even think how any of those versions sound right now.
I'll
the
tell
Millennium.
You, the Millennium Concert I am not at all a fan of, especially having so many songs from the No Makeup era played by Peter and Ace, which not to trash talk them, they just don't do it justice. I could not believe how many votes I saw for I Love It Loud on the Millennium Concert. Maybe it's just me, but hearing Peter play that drum part did not do a thing for me.
Yeah. Mick, I tend to agree with you, man. Alive 2 does tend to be my favorite of the 3 live albums, but Alive 3 is solid. I mean, really all 3 of them are, but I've always kind of leaned towards Alive 2. He also said he went to one of the residency shows there in Vegas and wasn't a great performance for Paul, unfortunately.
Right. Anything even fairly recent seems to be kind of rough for him.
Yeah.
So jumping forward to the results we just got in today. This was the polls that we would have posted last week. We had Strutter from Alive 4 versus Forever from Alive 4. Strutter takes it 62%. Yeah, a little disappointed on that one. We also posted Let Me Go Rock and Roll from Alive 4 versus Rock and Roll All Night from MTV Unplugged. Finally getting some unplugged stuff in there. And Rock and Roll All Night takes it with 82%. We posted I Still Love You from MTV Unplugged versus Do You Love Me from Alive 4. I Still Love You takes it with 72%. We got Deuce from Alive 3 versus Rock Bottom from Unplugged. Deuce takes it 59%.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that.
Yeah, that was a close one.
Yeah.
We had Firehouse from the Millennium Concert versus Heavens on Fire from Alive 3. And Heavens on Fire takes it with 75%. And then we had Detroit Rock City from Alive 3 versus Beth from Alive 4. Detroit takes it with 86%. Yeah, so that's all the results. We do have six matches that we just posted earlier today. They barely have any votes on them, so definitely get over there and check that out. Give us your votes real quick. The 6 that you can vote on right now: Psycho Circus from the Millennium Concert versus Going Blind from Unplugged. Tears Are Falling from Kiss Rocks Vegas versus Plastercaster from Unplugged. The real interesting one of round 1, Rock and Roll All Night Alive 3 versus Rock and Roll All Night Alive 4. Whew, again, this was randomly generated. I did not do that on purpose. I Love It Loud from Alive 3 versus I Want You from Alive 2. Into the Void from the Millennium Concert versus Hard Luck Woman from Alive 2. And finally, Take It Off from Alive 3 versus God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2 from Alive 3.
You know, Into the Void, that might be one of the only versions of anything off Millennium that I would give a vote to be honest.
Yep, same. I thought the same exact thing.
And at least there, I have solace in knowing that, with Forever and Beth, we still have at least a couple other versions still alive. So
Yeah.
There's a chance for them to at least make a good showing somewhere.
Right.
Yeah, Mick, I agree. The Unplugged show is amazing.
It is.
That's another one that sounds great. And hell, I believe that's next, isn't it?
I think so. I think you're right.
I think the way we're doing it now, we're jumping right to Unplugged. Javier, what's up, brother? Good to see you.
Definitely. How's it going, man?
All right, so ready for some info?
Yes, indeed. Now, you guys, if you watched last week's episode, you'll remember that I commented on how cool the Wikipedia page for Revenge is because it's just so full. Alive 3 is the exact opposite. There is almost nothing in this. Holy crap. So, of course, Alive 3 is the third live album. Thank you, Wikipedia, for that nugget of information we wouldn't have known.
Yes, I'm glad someone went in and edited that.
Yeah, good God. Oh, this album was released May 18th, 1993, and was recorded on concerts from November 27th through November 29th, 1992, in Cleveland, Detroit, and Indianapolis, actually. So right around our area there.
Yeah, I was saying, they sure like to use Cleveland for those early live shows, for a lot of their sources.
They do, yeah. As per usual for Alive, this album was produced by Eddie Kramer. Kiss is also on there as co-producers, but I think we all know Eddie probably did the the majority of the work there. So this is the first Alive album in a while. Of course, the last time they had done an Alive was 1977 for Alive 2, so quite a huge gap here. Of course, they also did Animalize Live Uncensored in 1984, but that wasn't released as a live album. So this was unexpected, I take it, for Kiss fans at the time, who probably were assuming that the Alive series was done, Yeah,
I remember it feeling like a bit of a surprise, like, oh, another Alive, that's cool. Because I don't quite remember if I remember, seeing like any magazine ads about it or, MTV or I remember the first time I heard it was my cousin bought it and he made a copy of it for me on cassette. And that's the first time I remember hearing it was that way. And I was just like, whoa, this is nuts,
Nice. Couple of funny little bits here. In the liner notes of Alive 3, there's a family tree showing the various Kiss lineups from the beginning to this point, as well as other bands that any member of Kiss had been in, which is a pretty cool thing for them to include to acknowledge anything Ace and Peter had done after having left.
I'm sure it doesn't show anything for Eric Carr.
Yeah, exactly, since they think that's it. Interestingly, Tony Iommi from Black Sabbath is misnamed Tommy Iommi in that liner note. They also claim that Watchin' You is originally from the album Kiss, and I Was Made for Lovin' You is originally from Dress to Kill.
Jesus.
Yeah, they screwed that up. Oh, man. And then, of course, also we've got the song Take It Off, which is normally... they only put that on releases that were not in America, which is stupid. It was literally everywhere else but America got that until they did the Kiss Alive 1975 to 2000 box set, which does have Take It Off on it. Now, the version we're doing here today is the original release that does not have Take It Off on it. So, just so you know.
Shit, I gotta remember that. Scratch this off then.
Let's see. What do we got here? Personnel, very straightforward, very nice to see, since, as we know, it got a little bit weird there in the 80s. We got Paul Stanley on rhythm guitar and lead vocals, Gene Simmons, bass guitar and lead vocals, Bruce Kulick, lead guitar and backing vocals, Eric Singer, drums and backing vocals, and Derek Sherinian, who played keyboards and did backing vocals. It doesn't really say where either of those things appear, but eagle-eyed fans will recognize Derek Sherinian not only as a pretty successful solo artist, but also the second ever keyboardist of Dream Theater.
Yes.
He would have joined Dream Theater right after this, right after he finished touring with Kiss, which is kind of weird. This album did get up to number 9 on the U.S. Billboard 200 and has been certified gold.
No, I wasn't ready.
Oh, no.
I love gold.
Yes.
I have to completely fix my thing now because I had to take it off in here.
Oh, no.
So I'm going through fixing all the numbers now. That was my number 3 too, damn it.
Oh, crap. Yeah. Apparently we didn't do it last time. I was trying to remember if we had, but the
Yeah, because I was getting confused because I swore, because I remember we were saying I'll take it off was only on the such and such issue. And then I'm listening to the album and I'm like, well, there it is. And then it's listed and I'm like, okay, but then like you said, it was, they added it on that later. So apparently the vinyl and then that Alive release.
Right.
Mick says Animalize would have been a great album as a fixed album, not the radio. I totally agree, man. I feel like that should have been Alive 3. I still find it a shame that Eric was not on any of these official Alive albums. That just doesn't seem right.
Yep. Definitely agreed. So another interesting, I was kind of looking up some stuff here. First off, the first interesting thing, the first concert that was recorded for this, the November 27th show, which was at the Palace of Auburn Hills, which that's on Kissology 2, I believe, or Kissology 3, actually. And then also there's a home video release of footage from that show with the Alive 3 audio, which is handy. But the concert directly before that, which they played on November 25th, 2 days earlier, they played at the Nutter Center in Fairborn, Ohio, which is right next to us.
Ah, very cool.
Yeah.
I actually have that show, and it's a great soundboard recording. I didn't realize how close it was to that actual recording.
Yeah, they began recording literally the very next concert.
Wow. Very cool.
Yes, but it is super cool to see the set list, and I assume the Fairborn set list is probably the same, but so many more early songs that aren't on this.
Yeah. I'll be able to point some out here in a second once I get it up.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Let's see. Yeah, you got Parasite, Hotter Than Hell, Firehouse, I Want You. And then, of course, the whole like drum solo and Oh Susanna thing, which I wish they would have left on Alive 3.
Right.
War Machine,
Yeah.
Strutter, Shout It Out Loud, and Love Gun.
Yeah. Cannot believe that is so many extra songs that they didn't put on there.
Because on this Dayton show, they actually did Love Gun before Star Spangled Banner, and of course on the album it's God Gave and then Star Spangled.
Right. Yeah, it looks like it's that same way here on the November 27th show. Love Gun and then Star Spangled.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've heard that version of Parasite. I don't know that I don't remember now on that Kissology 3 concert if this whole set list is intact or not, but I was really disappointed that they didn't put Parasite on here at least because I freaking love what Eric Singer does on that.
Yeah, there's not like the Dayton show is one thing, but my favorite one is there's another fantastic bootleg out there. It's where is it? It's right here. It's from Tokyo, and they call it Alive 3.5. And it's another just amazing soundboard. Like I kind of hope that Kiss puts this out as one of the vinyl, official bootlegs. But yeah, I mean, the way Parasite sounds on this one, oh man, smoking. And they even do Making Love and
oh wow,
yeah. I mean, such a great show.
Yeah.
Let's see. If Universal keeps up with Off the Soundboard, it would be interesting to see the Palladium show, 1980. Yeah, that's another one. Eric Carr's first show. So yeah, the Palladium show, the Cadillac show. Who knows? Which long form video had the Alive 3? It was Confidential, wasn't it?
Yeah. I see. I always get that and Exposed confused because the DVD I have has both of them, so I always forget which one is which.
I'll tell you a show I'd like to have released, and I was just talking about this the other day. It's one of my biggest regrets as a Kiss fan to not go. It was when Kiss did a private show for Honda, and this was back in, God, it had to be like, I don't know, 2004, something like that. And because my mom worked for Honda, she retired from Honda, and I remember her telling me like, yeah, they're having this, private thing for Honda employees at this arena, and they're gonna have some bands play, and Kiss is gonna play. And I was like, yeah, right. I was like, it ain't gonna be Kiss. It's probably just some cover band, so I refused, and I did not go, and we could have went for free. And sure enough, it was the real thing.
Oh man.
And go figure, I bring it up at Sweet Pain practice the other day, and Gino and Paulie's like, oh yeah, we were there. And I was like, you sons of
dang it.
So that's a show I would love to see, like some video and even audio from, because I feel like that's kind of a somewhat forgotten Kiss show, I guess you could say, because it was definitely a special one-off event.
Yeah, and that was a good era too, right there around Rock the Nation. That they were playing that set list was killer around that time.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest regrets that I know I could have went to for sure. It wasn't anything where I was too young or blah blah blah. No, I could have went, and for whatever reason, I was just being stupid and didn't believe it. And I don't know, but God, you live and you learn.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Tell us, how about that in the chat? Let's make that a little topic in the chat. Give us some, if you guys have any similar Kiss regrets or anything that you could have. What about you? Do you have any?
Honestly, I just wish that I had seen them more. The Kiss concerts I've been to, the first, well, I was young, of course. The first one I was at was the Farewell Tour, and even that, I was so young I barely remember it.
Right.
And then I didn't see him again until Sonic Boom. So, I just didn't have the mindset for it. Didn't really think about it that much. But I would have loved to have seen them at a time that I could remember now, before Paul's voice had gone quite so bad.
Right. I agree. I mean, thankfully I got to see at least, Psycho Circus. He was still in pretty good shape, and I guess very well for that matter. But yeah, I mean,
even the Rock the Nation concert still sounds pretty good.
Oh yeah. But I wish that I did get to see him on the reunion tour. That's another thing. Like, I don't know why or how I missed that. And then I think I even had the opportunity to see this Revenge tour, because at that point I was, right around 12, 13 years old. But I don't remember what happened, because I felt like it was like a possible thing, if I remember right. And maybe again I was just being dumb, because it was like, oh, they're not in makeup anymore, so I don't really want to see them. And just dumb thinking at the time, and looking back on it now, how cool it would have been to see.
Yes.
What did I miss? Wish I didn't go to the Dodger Stadium Hall. Oh, the opening night of Psycho Circus. Yeah.
Woo. Yeah.
I tell you, I love that episode of Mad TV that they were on, because they showed it right before they went live, and they showed a few songs on Fox after that. That was so cool. I found an article about that Honda show. It was in 2005, September 10th. And they held it in Columbus. I guess previously they had even had bands like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard play at that thing.
Wow.
For Honda employees. But basically the set list was pretty common, I guess, especially for that time. Detroit, Deuce, Making Love, Lick It Up, Firehouse, Got to Choose, Love It Loud, Christine, Love Gun, Let Me Go, 100,000 Years, I Was Made, Shout It Out Loud, Cold Gin, God of Thunder, God Gave, and then Rock and Roll Night. So, you're pretty, but still, I mean, at the time that would have been great.
Yeah. It's
great to see them anytime, no matter how bland the set list might feel. Robert's Kiss Regret is when Luke showed him the updated album cover with the Today faces.
Oh yeah, did you see that somebody photoshopped their current no makeup faces onto the first album?
Oh Lord.
Oh, it's horrible. He's not kidding.
Oh Lord. Oh, Javier said he missed Lick It Up and Animalize tour because his mom said he was too young to go. Yeah. I feel like that's the biggest thing that held us back from some of them early shows is age. That sucks.
Yeah.
All right. So, hell, are we already done with the info?
Yeah.
I felt like we didn't even hardly have anything there.
I know. Yeah. There's like nothing.
Well, hell yeah. Let's get into it then, since this is obviously a bit of a lengthy one too. So we start off, of course, with Creatures of the Night. This is number 2. My God, this is just such a killer, badass version of Creatures. Just everything about it. That double bass intro, the way Eric plays it, and it's so cool. I mean, it's right up there with Deuce from Alive 1, and how iconic it is in my opinion, and it speaks for itself. I don't need to say too much more about it. It's just so awesome, and I so badly want to put it at number 1, and I might have even done that on the last time we did this, but I don't know, the one that took number 1 just edged it out barely. And, but yeah, this is just, to me, the quintessential version of Creatures. Again, all respect to Eric Carr, of course, who was the one that wrote the drum part, but if they had put out a proper live album with him on it, maybe I'd have a different feeling, but this one just takes the cake for me.
Totally. Yeah, this is my number 2 as well. Yeah, I'm thinking pretty much the same as you. I think this was number 1 for both of us last time, maybe.
More than likely.
Just barely got edged out this time. Yeah. Amazing way to start the show. Amazing way to start the CD. I'm not even bothered that You Wanted the Best, You Got the Best isn't here. uh, which is surprising. You know, it's such a obviously it's got to be there. It's a Kiss show, but no, this is just so cool. You get that low rumble note, and then bam, straight in. I love everything about this, except, and this is the beginning of many, many, many just tiny little inconsequential nitpicks I have.
Yes, how could I forget?
You know, well,
Yeah.
two things. Now you've just reminded me. I know two things that I've commonly complained about, again, they're nitpicky. This doesn't ruin it for me at all. The first thing is the guitar solo behind the. I've always hated that. Didn't like it when Vinny did it. Don't like it when Bruce does it. Don't like it. But the second nitpicky thing is I don't like that they extended the guitar solo at all in this one. I prefer, and I know you know because Sweet Pain intentionally did it the studio version way, and not that Bruce played anything bad at all. I just prefer the shorter solo. It's straight to the point. I like it that way, and it feels overlong in this. But again, nitpicky.
Yeah, and I kind of like that they didn't use the "you want the best" thing, because that definitely made it feel different too. And that low rumble itself just kind of gives you goosebumps every time you hear that at the beginning of the album, and especially live. And I feel like on the real shows, like with this Dayton bootleg we talked about, because there's obviously more stuff going on. I need to play it again, because I felt like they were just playing like music or like some weird like sound effects and stuff over the PA right before the hum or during the hum, something like that. But it was definitely a little bit different than just the hum itself. And then they finally came in. So I think the actual intro went for damn near like a minute and a half at least before they finally came in.
Right.
All right. Coming right in, the Deuce, number 3. Again, I just absolutely love this version of Deuce. It's right to me. It's head to head with the live version. I mean, that one probably still takes the cake just for the the epicness and again with the introduction on that version. And but man, this is another just smoking version. I love how they just go right into it. When the pyro and everything hits it right at the end of Creatures, and bam, just right into Deuce. And I just love this. This is one of the songs that I love Eric's drum sound the most, because I am so addicted to that, how crisp those hi-hats sound when he's riding on them, that and then that kick drum. That's one of my favorite things about Deuce, and especially when you're there live, is just feeling that kick drum, the way it's doing that constant beat, and you just feel that. Like, to me, that's my favorite part of that song, really. Just and that's my favorite thing about playing the song too live, is I just love that beat, and it's got just such a powerful feel to it. But yeah, I just can't get enough of how good Eric's drums sound on this version, and just an overall great version. Bruce, tears up the solo, great job. So just if it wasn't for a live, this would have been my favorite version of Deuce live. But this definitely is a close second, very close second.
Yes. Much to even my own surprise, this is number 1 for me this time. Let me introduce to you one of the 2 things that I'm going to repeat over and over and over for this review. My favorite thing about this album is how they do the old songs.
Mm-hmm.
And this one just, it takes the cake as far as that. For me, what Eric Singer does with this song basically makes it a brand new song. Mm-hmm. It excites me about Deuce in a way that I hadn't been excited about Deuce since I first heard the original version forever ago.
Right.
I mean? And then the other thing that kind of forms up why I love it, this particular album, for them doing old songs, is what Bruce does with the solo. Because it kind of goes without saying at this point that Bruce is the MVP of Kiss. The 80s or the no makeup era of Kiss, Bruce is just the guy. And this solo I would point at as one of the reasons why he was the perfect dude, because he can play his own solo but still keep enough of the essential elements from the original of what Ace played that it still feels familiar. So he put his own spin on it. he did kind of what Vinny does, and he played his own thing. But unlike Vinny, there is still a lot of the original solo in there, and a lot of the original feel of Ace's solo, so that it doesn't feel like he was just like, and
Exactly.
you know.
Yeah.
What I mean?
And that's why Bruce has always been right up there as one of my favorite Kiss guitarists.
Definitely.
Nick wants to know how the Kissology Alive 3 concert compares to the Confidential version. If I'm not
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say first off, the Confidential version is the actual Alive 3 audio, which whereas the Kissology version is the actual not fixed up version.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as crisp as the Alive 3 audio, but you still get a good representation.
Still really good. Yeah, and interesting to see some of the differences. Like, for example, in Take It Off, the strippers don't come out till near the end of the song, whereas on the Confidential version, they're there the whole time. So that's some fancy editing.
Robbie says he enjoys the Alive 3 version of Deuce more than any other version. And by the way, what's up, Robbie?
Yes.
Javier says this album would be much better had they not put songs in that were on Alive 1 and 2.
I personally couldn't disagree more.
I mean, like we were saying, there's a couple songs that they should have put on here that weren't on here that are from those early. Oh, and before we get too far in, and I forget again, speaking of Alive 3, if you go over to Bruce Kulick's YouTube channel, he recently did his monthly Kiss Guitar Spotlight, and he spotlights the guitar that he plays on the video, the white, what is that called?
It's a kind of an Explorer. It's not a Gibson. I think it's an ESP, but it's an Explorer style body. Yeah.
So it's the white version of this one, and then obviously he used the black too. So he's showing and talking about those guitars, and then of course plays some bits of some of the songs. So make sure to check that out. Speaking of Alive 3, before I forget.
Yes.
Robbie said Bruce keeps all the guitar solos true to the original, but with his little twist to them, and they are my favorite version. Absolutely. It's not too far off left field like Vinny did.
Right.
Deuce and watching you, this lineup does great. I totally agree, man. David. All right. Sliding on to I Just Wanna. Number 5 here. I'm a little kind of surprised they put it this early in the set, but it does make sense. Another great... like we said on Revenge, it's another good upbeat song, getting the ladies dancing, all that good stuff. But other than that, it's pretty much, I'd say it's pretty true to the album version here on this live version, except for I do like when it breaks down. We kind of touched on this last time, but when it breaks down to that, and then Bruce adds that little guitar thing, going right along with the lyrics. I love that he added that to it. It just gives it that much more of a cool feel and a vibe. Other than that, I feel like it's pretty true to the album though, and it definitely came off great. It's a good live song, that's for sure. It's one of them that I'm glad to say I like it either way, because sometimes some of their songs I just cannot take the live version the way it translates, but I love when cases like this where I could say I like the live and the studio pretty much the same. So
yeah. This one came in at number 7 for me this time, and this is the other thing. If the one thing I'm going to repeat over and over is that my favorite thing is the way they did the older songs, the second thing I'm going to repeat over and over is any more recent songs they do are still really good. I don't really have anything bad to say about them, but they're not as exciting, I think, because they don't need to add anything. They already had everything that they needed for this kind of style that they were going after this time. And that's why this one didn't rank very high for me this time, I think, kind of generally. It's still really good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything bad to say about it at all.
Right.
But it didn't hit me the same as some of the older ones with all those extra little added flares. But this does, just like you were saying, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago, that middle, the cleanish section sounds so much better without all those extra background vocals that are on the album version, and Bruce's guitar thing is up in the mix, and yeah, just and all and of course, who could forget the absolutely genius placement of the crowd participation. This whole song was built for that, you know.
Oh yeah, and there's a special word, and it goes fuck. Ooh. You gotta love Paul's little. Ooh.
Yeah.
Robbie's on the same boat as earlier that we were talking. I believe it was Mick. He said he liked the Live 3 more than a Live 1, but a Live 2 is his favorite as well. Yeah, Bruce is the man, Mick. All right, so next up we have Unholy, and this is the number 1. You know, I was right there with you. I was ready to say, you know what, Deuce is number 1, but then I kind of forgot. And then again, I heard that intro to Unholy come in. And I'm like, oh, how could I forget? Like, again, like that's my favorite thing that they added to this version is, you know, that guitar intro that Bruce does. It makes it just so much more meaner and heavier sounding. And then, you know, that's that nasty, you know, pick slide before he hits the main riff, and you know, just the tone that his, you know, guitar is making when he's hitting the so again, just a great version of the song, but maybe better. Again, I like both versions, but I gotta maybe give the live version a little bit of an edge over the studio version, to be honest, because you know, I kind of get tired of that long intro that the studio version has. You know, I like how this one just like I want to hear that starting off, you know, and love it. And you know, again, Eric's tearing it up on this version as well, so just another great song, great version.
Did you notice, I'm curious why they put the track switch where they did. Did you notice that the first happens on I Just Wanna, and then it switches?
Yeah.
That's strange. I wonder why.
Someone that was chopping up the tracks kind of missed his cue or something.
Yeah. Strange. Yeah, this one came in number 8 for me this time, and just I really don't have any different notes than for I Just Wanna. I have nothing bad to say about this. It's a really good representation of this song live. It just didn't quite excite me the way some of the older ones did.
Yeah. All right, next we have Heaven's on Fire. This one comes in at number 12 for me. Again, I felt like this one was a pretty, you know, bare bones version, you know, and I think part of it is, again, comparing this with the Animalized Uncensored. It's like, I like that version a little bit better, to be honest. And again, it's just a damn shame that that's not a Live 3, but because again, like, you know, some of these songs like Heaven's on Fire, and then even another one that we'll get to that's even older, you know, it took them that long to finally put them on an official live album. It just almost seems kind of like, you know, like it almost kind of takes away the kind of like cool factor or the surprise factor in a way. That's for me, but like I say, I just prefer the Animalized Uncensored version of Heaven's on Fire over this version. It's, you know, nothing really too different about it. You know, it's definitely cool to go back and, you know, listen to these older versions and, you know, hearing Paul, you know, doing what Paul did and, you know, having no trouble doing it the way he used to do it. So that's, I guess, the only like real good thing that I could take out of hearing this version.
This came in number 5 for me this time. Man, Paul's rap before the song is so great. That's one of the things about the CD that always sticks in my head. Song's got a beginning. You go, oh yeah, I know that one. So good. That was one of the little Easter eggs in the Sweet Pain intro that I threw in there. Was that particular little rap? It flies from left to right at one point in the middle of it, and see if anybody catches it. I'll tell you, this one scored high for me because I know this one is only sort of an older song at the point this one was released, but I love the arrangement of this. I think I probably talked about this in the Animalize episode. The studio version sounds good, and of course, I prefer the production of the studio version, but it lacks interest in arrangement. And this version changes all about that. The whole ending section is different. I love the way they ended it. I love that they don't just go back to the chorus and repeat it a bunch of times over and over. I wish that they had recorded the studio version with the arrangement from this live version right here. And so this live version always hits me right, you know?
Yeah, I do like the little extended drum thing that they started doing live, and there's just something special about the studio version for me. Is like when that music first kicks in after Paul's doing that intro, it's just like that bass guitar, like you could just really feel it, that, and that's just something that the live version kind of misses. And to me, that's just like a signature part of that song when I hear the studio version, just like the slide on Deuce, like to me, it kind of does the same thing here, and that bass kick in right away. Such a good mix. All right, so then we go to Watching You, and this is 13, and this is cool the way they play it musically, but the thing that really knocked it down point wise for me was Gene. Once the second verse hit, the way he started singing it, I just did not like what he was doing with his voice on, from the second verse on. Even that little like scream thing that he tries to do at the end of the second verse didn't work. And so if I tried to ignore that and just listen more to the music side of it, yeah, it would have ranked higher. But once that hit this time, it just kind of it definitely took some points away for me this time. And I would definitely probably stick to the live version of this more.
Right on. Yeah, this one came for number 3 for me this time. Again, with the older versions. I am so glad that they were still pulling out older songs. For a long time in the 80s, they were practically ignoring the early stuff. And luckily, somebody had the bright idea in the Hot in the Shade tour to start going a little bit deeper. And I'm so glad they were still doing that in this era. Because I love this version just like I love Deuce. And honestly, most of that is because of Eric's drumming. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to for all these early songs. What Eric is doing on the drums just completely changes the game for these songs. And that's not to say that I wish that Peter had played him like that in the first place. Not that he would have been capable of it, mm-hmm. but just I love hearing what Eric was doing, kind of revitalizing these older songs for the modern era and making them a little bit more similar so that it didn't feel like suddenly we were jumping back in time. It still feels like this could have been something that they recorded recently. And then, of course, this song, anytime I hear this song, I also think about Parasite. So I had also noted here that, man, I really wish that the version of Parasite was on Alive 3 as well.
Yeah. I like the fact that we at least have 2 really good live recordings, from Alive and Alive 3 of this song. And mm-hmm. that's one of the things I like is the different drumming, because you got Peter style and Eric style, and I like both versions, and I like how each drum, each drummer's kit sounds different on each version too. So it's like you just kind of get the best of both worlds there.
Totally.
And sticking with Gene here, we go right into Domino. Number 9 for me. I don't know why, but I always almost forget that they did this on Alive 3. I always think of it more as an unplugged song. But again, I mean, not much left to say that we didn't already say about this song on Revenge and everything, of how fun it is to play, how great of an upbeat song, and just a cool overall Gene song. And again, Eric just kind of spices up the drums that much more on this version, especially that ending there. So yeah, just another solid version, and again another one that basically this or the album version, I'll take either one. So just a great song either way, and I feel I feel the same about the unplugged version too when we get to that. So there's 3 versions right there. I just absolutely love. You can put on any version, and I won't complain.
Yeah. This one came in 11 for me too, and yeah, I have basically the same thing again. It's just I really don't have anything bad to say about it. It's a super solid, well played version of the song. The only reason it's low here is I tend to lean a little bit more towards the studio version, and that is specifically because the studio version is so dry. And I love that about it. It's so matter of fact, and I feel like that lends to the subject matter of the song for some reason. And just naturally, the live version isn't dry. Why would it be? It would be kind of dumb if it were. So again, it's super nitpicky, and it isn't at all a reason I would skip this song or not want to hear it. But like it's a little bit lower this time because of that. I missed that just a little bit.
Just a wee bit there.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, so now it's time for the Paul show to take back over. We get I Was Made for Loving You. Yeah, you're right, Robbie. Paul plays bass in that video. That's one of those weird, like, why is that happening?
Yeah.
I Was Made for Loving You, number 8 for me. This is definitely a way different version, of course. Way far left field of what's on the album. And again, it's like, here's a song that is like, what? Almost 15 years old at this point, and we're finally getting it on a live album, a proper live album. So again, it's kind of one of them things like this, they should have done this already, and this song should have already been on a live, and however many years back farther. And but I'll give them credit for coming up with a different arrangement, and I know Paul was trying to kind of make it somewhat heavier, if you can really say that. But as far as the music sounds, and obviously he was definitely doing the vocal gymnastics on this version, and it's cool. It's kind of a breath of fresh air to hear how different it is, and because you tend to it feels like you hear the album version so much on all these different compilations and whatnot that when you hear this version, it's kind of like, oh yeah, they did change it up a little bit,
Absolutely. Yeah, this was another one that really surprised me. I've got this at number 4. And this is a song that I usually am not excited to see on a set list or a track listing. Not that I dislike the song, but I get bored of it. And so I was honestly blown away as I was sitting here listening to this when this one came on, and I was like, this is so good. This is such a good version of this song. Also, this one was a sound check. This was one like Tomorrow and Tonight they recorded at a sound check and overdubbed audience. And I'm surprised by that. Why wasn't this in the set list? Why weren't they playing this on this tour? I mean, again, just like a lot of the other older songs, they updated what Eric was playing and the way that they were changing things about it. They gave it an awesome ending. They gave it that nice hard edge that still makes it fit well with all the other songs they're playing in the set list. It doesn't feel like they took a break and suddenly played a disco song.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love that they were able to not change the song so wildly that it's unrecognizable or even that different overall, really, but just enough that it fits right in.
Now, see, again, it's been so long since I've watched Confidential War, the show that's on Casology, but I thought they did play it on those videos, or at least one of them, didn't they? Or am I
was
wrong?
thinking it must have been confidential then, and they would have just had to use audience shots from something else. But
yeah, they could have edited that way. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right. Robbie says that's a great sing-along song. He totally loves the heaviness and Bruce's extended solo. Definitely. So this time Paul gets 2 in a row here. So we go into I Still Love You. Number 6 here. Like I said, this is pretty much, in my opinion, like pretty much the best ballad that Kiss has, or especially a Paul song. And again, the studio version, this version, unplugged version, I like them all. Obviously it's Paul's vocals that's the big highlight on here, especially with the big drawn out I Still towards the end, and it's just a cool song. And I've always loved the drumming on here. Like, a lot of people tend to think, oh, this is just a ballad, so you kind of don't associate that with the drumming, but really there's some really cool fills on here and things like that. I love what Eric Carr did, and Eric Singer replicates it pretty well, and probably even adds a few of his own, and it's just another very well performed version of this song.
Yeah. It came in 14 for me this time, and again, well, it's partly because it just had to go somewhere, but honestly, the only other thing is just another nitpick, and that is, you got the studio version, this version, and the unplugged version, and it's low for me this time because this is my least favorite of the 3, and I don't want that to insinuate that I dislike this version at all, because I don't. It is still a really good version, but the sound of the drums on Creatures of the Night puts the studio version higher than this. And then just the general interest of it being done acoustically and still how awesome it sounds on Unplugged, again, just puts it a little bit above this version. There is nothing at all wrong with this version. I do wish the drums were a little bit louder, but other than that, again, there is nothing wrong with it at all. And as per usual, Paul just kills this song. He just absolutely takes it down like he always does.
Yeah, spot on. Next is Rock and Roll All Night. Comes in at number 15. So obviously they were definitely doing it a lot different on this tour. They obviously was not closing with Rock and Roll All Night. They were throwing it more, kind of not really in the middle, but maybe more towards the end. But kind of cool. Because, for some of those people that might get burnt out on Rock and Roll All Night always being the last song, it's, here they are playing it this early, and you still got, a handful or so of songs to go after that. But I'm definitely not a big fan of this version. I mean, the way they start it it's different. I've never been a big fan of the way Gene sings the song in this era. The "We'll drive you crazy," that always just bugged me for some reason. But I don't know. Other than that, it's just like, I don't know. They changed it up a bit, but not too different or too drastically. And it was kind of cool to hear it in this spot of the set list, and knowing that there were still some great tracks coming.
Yeah. Some of these older songs that didn't leave the set list ever, like this one and Detroit Rock City and stuff, I think we probably talked about this before too, but yeah, the way they changed them vocally, I get it, because it has to be so old to be singing that for the 10 millionth time, but yeah, it gets annoying. I'm right there with you, that with the way Gene sang this one, a little bit the way Paul sang Detroit on this version, not so much, but the way Paul sings Detroit now, I cannot handle it. I don't like it at all.
What about the way he sang it on like the Unmasked era?
Yeah, it's still like there's bits I like, but for the most part, I find myself going, dude, I'm sorry, because I know, I get it. I get you want to change it because it's got to be old as crap for you, but I just kind of want to hear it the real way.
Yeah, I get a little on the fence with that Unmasked era, that the radio's the only lie.
Yeah. So Rock and Roll All Night, 15 for me as well. Same thing. Of all of the older songs played on this album, this one I feel like has the least interesting new bits added to it. Yeah, Eric still, again, nothing bad about it. Still a really solid version about this. Eric doesn't really add anything extra. I love Bruce's guitar solo in this version. Weird Sweet Pain fun fact: I actually played this solo, the Bruce version, Alive 3 solo, when Sweet Pain played this song, just to see if anyone would notice. And if anybody ever did, they didn't mention it. So, if there was even one person in the audience who would have known that, that would have been interesting. But yeah, I'm a bit confused why so early on this one as well. I mean, the going straight into Lick It Up is awesome, but this song works so well at the end. I wonder what possessed them to put it so early.
Yeah, I think they were just really trying to press for what was, well, at least on the album, what's technically the last song. I think they were trying to press for that to be the new, like, closer, epic, theme per se. But, they definitely changed their mind not long after this.
Yes. Robbie, yes, he did. Eddie Kramer produced this.
So like you alluded to, we go right into Lick It Up at the end of this, number 11 here. It's always fun to hear these old versions of Lick It Up because, we're so used to how they play it now with that, Who interlude in the middle, which we've talked in the past. I'm beyond tired of that now at this point. It's way past the point of like, oh, that's awesome, and, didn't expect that, or because now you do expect it, and it's the same thing every time. And
every time.
But so it's cool to go back and hear how they used to do it on these older versions, like on this, and Animalize, Uncensored, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, just another pretty fairly bare bones version, just pretty true to the album, other than the little extended part there with the solo and everything. But it's definitely a good version, and it's definitely keeps up the vibe, and I definitely prefer the way this sounds compared to the way it sounds nowadays, for sure, and especially on the farewell tour.
Yeah. Came in number 6 for me this time. Yeah, such a cool, going straight into this from Rock and Roll All Night without stopping. Genius idea. That's great. And then after that, honestly, this one could, really is the exact same notes for Heaven's on Fire. I like the studio version of Lick It Up, and of course I prefer the production. I'm that guy. I always prefer studio production over live production. But I think I've complained pretty often about how the arrangement of the studio version of Lick It Up is like to a point of monotony that I can't stand. And just like Heaven's on Fire, this live version's arrangement fixes all of that. Every bit that was boring is changed into something interesting. There's a proper guitar solo now where there wasn't before. There's an actual ending where there wasn't before. I wish they had recorded it just like this. I love this arrangement.
They should have played it the way the demo is, where it's like the tempo like makes it feel like some like 80s aerobic song or something.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh god. So next up, we go into Forever, and every time they do this one, the place lights up like a damn Christmas tree.
Yes.
Forever comes in at number 4, and again, it just comes down to Bruce, man. It's that damn solo. Like I said, my favorite Kiss solo of all time, and my God, he sounds like, it sounds like they're just playing the album solo over this track because he's just so spot on with it. And it just, the tone of that acoustic sounds exactly like it does on the album and everything. It doesn't sound off, and and then again, you got to point out Paul's vocals, of course, but that's a given. He sounds fantastic on here too. And again, being that this is a little bit more of a ballad, but again, there's some cool fills on here. Eric Carr did some very cool, drum fills, the kind of stuff that, you find yourself like either humming or doing like the mouth noises, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And Eric Singer does a good job. Yeah, if I wanted to be super nitpicky, yeah, he might miss a one here or there, but for the most part, he stays pretty true. And so, yeah, it is just a great version, but it just all comes down to that solo and how great it sounds on this. And that's why it hit number 4 for me.
Yeah. A weird thing, I know I've pointed this out to you before. Speaking of drum fills and Eric Singer and this song, there is my favorite drum fill on the studio version of this song in the second verse.
Bat, 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 da-da-da-dum.
Yes, you know exactly what I mean. And Eric nails it on this, but then on that stupid frickin' Sonic Boom Disc 2 Kiss Classic, where they were intentionally trying to re-record the songs just the way they were, he screws it up. And that bothers me so bad. I hate it.
Yeah.
I would rank the re-recording of Forever dead last on that just for that one tiny fill, because I know he knows it. He played it right here.
That's one of them things right there that I gotta say I definitely do not like. The whole thing is that re-recording disc. So terrible.
So this one came in at number 10 for me this time. And just like all the more recent songs played at this concert, this is such a good, faithful, well-played version of this song. The only reason it's low is because I love the studio version. I love the production and the orchestration of the studio version. And so I lean more towards that. Of course, they can't multi-layer guitars on a live version, or else why it's not live then. The only other interesting thing I noticed about this track is I heard keyboard. It's really low in the mix, but I heard keyboard, and I'm fairly certain it's the only time I heard keyboard the whole CD. Surely they didn't bring Derek Sherinian, one of the craziest, best prog metal keyboardists of all time, out on tour to just play in the very, very background of this one song. Surely he played more than that. But,
what if they did? Like, he's just sitting in this chair the whole time, drinking pop and shit, and all of a sudden, hey, it's time for Forever. Oh, okay.
Let me just change to my synthy string sound and play chords. This guy who could solo just as well as Bruce, and that's all they used him for.
I'm pretty sure he did some background vocals too, didn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure where, but at least it says that he did. Yeah.
There's certain times that you could probably think like, okay, that's probably him in there, even though you can't truly pinpoint it, but you got to believe that it probably is.
Right.
So we go up to I Love It Loud. This comes in at number 14. Definitely a big change of pace here. Taylor Wright, what's up? Good to see you. It says, I love Kiss. Well, you're in the right spot. We love them too.
Absolutely.
Like seeing these new names, like we said earlier. Welcome and appreciate the support. So I Love It Loud, number 14, definitely a change of pace. Again, I felt like this is pretty bare bones too. I said it 100 times, but never understood why they always cut out the second half of the second verse. That's the biggest nitpick. And of course, when you talk about studio, obviously this, the studio one kind of takes the cake, because this is probably the most iconic one that everyone thinks of when they think of that drum sound. So, but still pulled it off, and it's a good crowd participation song. Getting the people to chant and yell that hey, along with them. Even to this day, it's still fun to do. So, great song for that.
Absolutely. This one came in 16 for me this time, last place. And again, it's because it had to go somewhere, honestly. Why would I put this below all the others? It's the two things that you exactly just said. They are wildly nitpicky. This is still a really good version of this song. But the fact that this song is just so dominated by the studio version's drums, of course, it's going to be missing. I'm sure actually being there at the concert wouldn't have that problem at all, because you got that big booming just physically being there. Hearing it on here, it's not bad, but it doesn't have that same heft. And then cutting that second verse short, I don't get it. They always did it. I'm not sure they ever performed the whole second verse live ever.
Yeah, as far as I know, they haven't.
Yeah, which is weird. I don't understand it. It's not like it's that big a deal, but I kind of wish it were there. So
Yeah.
last place this time.
All right, next is Detroit Rock City, number 7 here. This is a cool version. I again, talking about how Eric takes these older songs and kind of makes them his own, adding the double bass. Excuse me, on this is just killer. I love during the verse parts where it's like feel uptight on Saturday night, and the guitar kind of fades out more, and then you just kind of hear the bass and the drums doing the do, and then Eric's doing the double kick with that bass, which makes it sound so much cooler. Yeah, so those are like kind of the highlights of this version. Why I like this version a lot, and and again, to be honest, I'll stick with the live too, but this version is definitely cool for the differences. If I'm in the mood to hear more of a let's say a more drum friendly version, I guess I would play this version based on what Eric does, because I tend to borrow little bits of it here and there with the way I play the song. I try to mix what Peter does, but then I'll try to throw in a little bit of that double stuff on the chorus and whatnot, based on what Eric did. So it's always been kind of a mishmash of that kind of stuff, but yeah, great solid version, and kind of weird that it's so far down in the set, especially, and again, whether or not they really did it that far down in the actual shows, I can't remember now, but yeah, still cool though. Number 7.
Yep. I did check that out. This was the end of the proper set, even on the actual set list. Yeah.
Well, Taylor, if you're leaving, see you. Thanks for stopping in.
Indeed. Number 9 for me, Detroit Rock City, and yeah, it's those drums. That's what Eric does with the drums. Of course, the main bit, he lifted that from Eric Carr. Eric Carr did that same thing and loved it there too. But Eric Singer adds even more. Sometimes he's going. Oh man, that's so. Any extra added double bass on a Kiss song is good in my book. That's. I love that extra bit, and then the ending, being that this ends the proper.
Oh,
I love that the drawn out and then Paul sings "Stick Around." It's just kind of funny.
I totally forgot about that ending. Yeah, I mean, how different that is.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie likes the timing of this version. He said the Live 2 version's a tad faster.
It's true.
And the version on Animalize is like light speed.
Cocaine. Yeah, it's always the funniest when they did this with Eric Carr, because you could tell they would try to start the song slow. It's like, jeez.
That's one thing I love about Eric on that Animalize 2 is like just about every song when he's doing the ending, he does this little like bloop 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 like on the tom, and he does that like damn near every song at the end of it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's doing it again. Bloop bloop bloop.
Bloop, bloop.
All right, 2 more to go. We got God Gave Rock and Roll to You 2. Number 10 here. I like how they just go right into the to the meat of the song here instead of doing that whole extended intro, because obviously that probably would have lagged down the show a bit. I'm not a huge fan of them playing this live. I know they've pulled it in and out, even recent tours, but I kind of like it the way it is now, where they play the actual track over the PA at the end of the show. It just kind of gives you a special feeling, you know, after witnessing the show and, you know, them doing the bow and you see the big thing on the screen, you know, Kiss loves you, Dayton, or, you know, wherever they're at. And you hear that. So, you know, it just kind of gives you a cool, like, feeling and atmosphere. And I kind of like the song being used for that more than actually playing it live. Because, again, like, I could tell that, you know, they were probably trying to make that the new, you know, basically Rock and Roll All Night, maybe, you know, close the shows with it from now on or whatever. And, you know, and it didn't work as well. Rock and Roll All Night is just definitely much more upbeat, and the people want to hear and sing and dance to that at the end of the show. And, you know, it's basically what people come to expect. And so, you know, not a horrible version, but yeah, I just prefer them not playing it live.
Yeah, same. Number 12 for me on this. At this point, you guys probably already know, when it comes to the more recent songs on this CD, for me, I think this version is solid. Not really anything bad to say about it, but the studio version, I like it better. I really like that intro on the studio version, and you're right. I'm glad they didn't do it here because it would have brought it down too much. But I do really like it, so I like that's there. And of course, the production of the studio version is just immaculate. You got Eric Carr's vocals on that version. So it's a good representation. I forgot about the guitar solo. The double guitar solo is so freaking cool on the studio version.
Yeah.
It's just Bruce here. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't have the same impact. So it's just that's all it is. That's the only reason it's low. It's not bad. I like the other version better.
And I know, like, I believe in later years, like, you know, during makeup years when they would play this song, I think this was the song that they would play, like, the video in the background of, like, the history of the band, like, which now they do it with, like, you know, Do You Love Me or whatever song now, Deuce, Cold Gin, whatever. But especially at this time, when they played this live, they should have made this, like, kind of a Eric Carr tribute point of the show. You know, playing this song, they should have, you know, put his image up on a screen, or, you know, a video, you know, something to kind of pay a little homage to him for this song.
Yeah.
That seemed like an opportunity missed there. And again, for that matter, like, even to this day or whenever the last time they played this live, they could have maybe focused more on Eric when they did that, instead of the history of the band and then save that for one of the other songs like they do now or have. But yeah, that's what it is, and we never got it. So
yeah. I'm still actively irritated that they didn't do some sort of tribute during I Love It Loud like we had talked about.
Yeah,
that seems like such a missed opportunity. But for some reason, it feels like I don't know, nowadays they almost go out of their way to ignore Eric, which is weird.
It's really odd. I don't understand. And, you know, I going a little off topic again, but one of my dream scenarios is, like, maybe this is like the very, very last show Kiss plays, you know, that supposedly, I guess, is going to still happen in New York, but whatever that date is now, who knows. But if they were to do something extra special, like a hologram of Eric Carr, like, of him behind the drum, you know, something like that would just be so freaking amazing. And
yeah,
you know, you'd probably have a lot of people getting emotional in the crowd with something like that going on. And, you know, just something like that would seem like they offer the biggest opportunity, you know, of the last show of all shows, to really do something super cool like that, like pull out the hologram of Eric, and maybe even Mark St. John for that matter, you know, do something like that where it's damn near the whole Kiss family. Like, you know, I still don't personally see Vinny being involved, but I could see everybody else being involved at least. And, you know, that would just be so cool if they did something to that effect, especially for Eric. So, Robbie said, good point. Has Kiss even done a tribute to Eric other than Car Jam on Revenge? If not, that's kind of sad. As far as I know, they haven't really. I mean, yeah, they might talk about him for a little bit, like in those home videos and their little thing like that. But as far as like anything during the show, or I don't even know if they mentioned him during the Hall of Fame induction for that matter. If I'd have to watch it again. I don't want to accuse them that they didn't, and then maybe they did. It's been so long, I don't remember, but
Right.
it's possible. Yeah,
I seem to recall them being irritated that he wasn't being inducted, but yeah, I don't remember if they said anything.
Yeah, and we got that Tale of the Fox documentary, but it wasn't like Kiss put that out. That was just basically done, pretty much by the family, I believe, and whoever produced that thing, and so, and then people that's released Eric's music and all that stuff, that wasn't through Kiss either. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird, but we need more of an Eric, like a Kiss released Eric Carr DVD collection, on top of a Kissology.
Yeah.
All right, so getting back on track, wrapping this last one up here real quick. Star Spangled Banner, of course, number 16. And again, the only reason I just wanted to be a little fair, since this obviously isn't, really a proper song, and I was almost debating if we even wanted to just take this one off and save it for the thing at the end of the whole thing. I was like, let's leave it as it is, because it is to me, it's one of the unique things of Alive 3 is Star Spangled Banner. It's one of the things I always think of first when I think about this album. But yeah, it was cool. So again, unexpected to hear them do something like this, especially for this to be the end of the show. Great way to, take that little idea from Spit and then turn it into this. And they did a great job. And man, those bombs going off, especially at the end, whether those are real or they were just playing it in the recording, either way, they still sound bombastic and amazing, and blow the roof off. And I love that they brought this back, a few years back on that Freedom to Rock tour, and it was definitely centered more around the troops, and bringing out the troops in each city, and doing the Pledge of Allegiance, and then playing the Star Spangled Banner, and right into Rock and Roll All Night. Not much better way to end the show than that. So, but yeah, this version, it's very cool. Like I say, it's it's the guitar. There's that dual guitar tone, just sounds amazing on here, and definitely a cool way to end the album. And it was totally unexpected at the time, but it definitely works. So.
Mm-hmm. 13 for me. Yeah, I couldn't bring myself to put it at the bottom because it's such a good version.
Yeah.
Having Paul and Bruce both play and lead on that, and then the where they put hits and stuff with the drums, the fireworks and the bombs, like you said, such an amazing effect. And it couldn't have made more sense with their stage set too, having the Statue of Liberty and everything. And if I had one tiny nitpick about this one, I know with the nitpicks this time, I like how they ended up doing it when they brought it back for the Freedom to Rock tour, and how we did it with Sweet Pain going into Rock and Roll All Night. I feel like that would have been a better way to end the show than just ending it like this. Right. That's just me. It's exciting. You got the Star Spangled Banner, and you got the American flag, and everybody's cool. And then they go into the party song, shoot some confetti at them, go home.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, it's a nitpick. There's nothing wrong with this at all, and I love this version.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's right, Javier. It's, hopefully a future Off the Soundboard will feature Eric Carr for sure.
Yes, definitely.
All right, so the overall, I give Alive 3 an 8. It's definitely a super solid live album. Although although Alive 2 probably is my ultimate favorite, I will say Alive 3 is my favorite sounding of the 3 live albums. Again, I just can't take away, from the drum sound on this album and, Bruce's tone. There's definitely things I love about the other 2 Alives, but this one just feels like everything was done right as far as the mixing and recording on this Alive 3. And so like I said, there was definitely some sort of surprises on here, like with Rock and Roll All Night being where it was, and Star Spangled Banner, and things like that. It was definitely a nice little mix match of where they were at the time, and so a really solid 8.
Nice. I forgot I was going to mention it earlier. Another like weird little thing about this set list: Domino and Watching You flipped in real life.
Ah.
So, and why?
Yeah.
What made him change that? That's the weirdest. I don't know. Weird little tidbit. 8.5 for me. I so badly wanted to do 9, and I couldn't quite bring myself to give any live recording a 9. So 8.5. I am so glad they decided to do an official live CD with this lineup and on this tour specifically. I know, I recognize, and I acknowledge that I'm the odd man out in most KISS circles with stuff like this, but I absolutely love this lineup, and honestly, just the set list. Not only the set list they were playing live at the time, but the songs they chose to put on this. I think they picked the right songs from Revenge to perform. It didn't feel like it was oversaturated with new songs, even a little bit. This was a great mixture of everything. They picked a great assortment of older songs to revamp, and they still felt like they fit with the newer stuff they did. If anything, I wish this were double disc. I would love to have more. Put all the older songs they did on this tour on here, and while you're at it, where's Fits Like a Glove and Tears Are Falling and Crazy Nights, Hide Your Heart? I want them all. Yeah. It would have been so good to have some more like this. And yeah, man, the production is so good for being live. I talked about this, I think, on these episodes, and again, I recognize this is just me personally. I know I'm the odd man out. I almost can't listen to a live or a live 2 because I feel like the production is so terrible I can't handle it. The production on this is great. I can't believe people criticize this one and not the others. It's very straightforward. You got Paul in the left, Bruce in the right. You can hear all the vocals. You can hear the bass. The drums sound really tight. And then one of the reasons I love this lineup is the musicianship. Paul and Gene are both on fire here, musically and vocally. Both of them are great. Bruce almost goes without saying. He makes this CD great in the same way he makes all of the studio albums he's been on great. And then the real MVP, at least for me on this album, is Eric Singer. I think he just took all these songs to a totally different place, borderline progressive drumming. You know what I mean? He changed the feel of some of these in a way that neither Peter or Eric did, and that's not a dig on either of them at all. It's just, he was able to put a stamp on it, just like we were talking with Bruce. He did his own thing, but still kept enough of the original vibe that it didn't feel alien. It still suited the song perfectly. I know I mentioned it 100 times already, but my favorite thing on the CD is the older songs. I wish we had more tours from this era, and we've said that a million times too. Me personally, I wish they hadn't done the reunion tour. Screw getting back with Ace and Peter. I know it made them a bunch of money, but I wish we had more stuff in this vein, more albums like Revenge, more tours, no makeup with Bruce and Eric in this era, and just to hear what else they would have done. Yeah. What other older songs would they have pulled out? How would they have gone? Would Eric have still ended up kind of pulling back on the progressive style reins and playing them more simply, or would he have kept going with what he was doing? I don't know. Overall, I'm not usually very big on live CDs, but for me personally, this is my quintessential KISS Alive.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, thankfully Bruce is, right now keeping that stuff alive with what he does with his live band, but it kind of makes you wonder, like, hey, when KISS is done, and Eric's freed up again, you know, could him and Bruce get together and write some more music that's more in that vein of where they were at on, you know, Carnival and Revenge and all that. That would be
cool.
interesting to see, and would it still have that feel, or I don't know, who knows what'll happen, but
Yeah.
Maybe Eric's just going to stick with Soul Station, and that's what they're going to do after Kid. I don't know, but yeah, interesting to see. And like you were saying with Alive and Alive 2, I've always had this thing where I've always wondered, like, you know, what it would have been like back in the 70s to be at a concert, you know, whether it's Kiss or whoever, like what would it have sounded like, you know, like the types of PAs that they had back then versus what they have now. And, you know, even on the Alive 3 era with the way that sounds like, I've always wondered, like, how would it have really sounded? And to me, I feel like listening to Alive and Alive 2 is the closest thing I can get to what that true sound would have been like. So it's definitely got that kind of rawness to it. And, you know, you could tell it's not quite as high tech as it got to be, like even on Alive 3 and up to now, of course. And, but I felt like that's kind of the closest like snapshot you can get to being there, other than, you know, people that actually did experience it that could share the stories or whatnot. So
I wonder what shape that stuff is in. Like, if those master tracks still exist somewhere, and somebody went in and did a real remix and remaster, and you know, like what Bob Ezrin did with Destroyer Resurrected, where he still kind of tried to keep the feel of the original. What would happen if they threw that out the door? Screw how the original sounded. Can we take what is here right now, what exists as it is, and can we update it as hard as we can? What would it sound like? I'm curious.
Yeah, that's true. Because I mean, hell, even if you listen to like the Lost Alive 2 stuff, that's even got a different sound to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost like the sound quality of that better than what's on Alive 2, to be honest. Yeah, you know, you gotta think, or at least hope, that they do have all those master tapes somewhere, because if they're getting ready to put out, you know, quote unquote bootleg, you know, professional versions of these other random live shows, you would hope that they have the master tapes for stuff like that still.
Yeah. Hopefully none of their stuff got destroyed in those fires that happened here a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So it's one of them things, man. But again, like, you know, we've said, it's like, I wish they would put out like those, you know, super deluxe box sets like everyone does, like Paul McCartney's been doing, and Beatles, and, you know, all these other bands are doing it lately. I wish Kiss would start doing stuff more like that, instead of just a anniversary edition on this colored vinyl or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, give us like when they did the Love Gun CD, like even that was a step towards that direction, because we got, you know, the remaster, but then we got that extra disc that had some, you know, like demos and live versions that wasn't from Alive 2. It was just like taken from other live shows, and, you know, interview clips. You know, that was a step in the right direction. I was hoping they were going to continue with that, but I don't know. But, you know, I'm happy that they're at least going to do this live thing, you know, and again, we'll find out how often they're going to put them out. And, you know, like I said earlier, I hope that they make it like a subscription base, and you know, we'll see, man.
Yeah.
Chief Broken Arrow, what's going on? He says, hey dudes, this is one that he will have to rediscover. Was disappointed when he first bought it all those years ago on the day it was released. Got to break it out and give it a new listen. Yeah, definitely should, man.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie says Kiss in Winterland 75 sounds amazing, yet to this day, and Kiss Live in Japan 78 that aired on HBO in 1980 had great sound quality for back then. True, very true.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, there's a new bootleg of Winterland that's been released, I believe. I saw some people posting, and they said it has a really good sound quality to it.
Nice.
Yeah, that Japan show, the HBO version, because there was the HBO version, and then there's a regular version out there. Like, I think it's just the Kiss Vision version. But yeah, the HBO version seems to have a better sound quality. Okay, so I see Robbie already gave us a true confession a little bit ago, so we'll get into this here, and we'll be right back.
Take your place.
True confessions. True confessions. True confessions.
All right, true confession time. Yeah, no problem, Robbie. Definitely check that out. I wouldn't mind getting that myself. I love that Winterland show, the video. That was like one of the first bootleg videos I ever got. And at the time, you know, especially since it was in black and white, I was like, oh, this has got to be the earliest Kiss footage ever. But man, I used to watch that show like the night before band practices and stuff, and it would just get me so pumped up and ready to jam and everything. And just something about that show, man. Like the energy and Peter's drum sound and everything about that show. I love it, man. I used to watch that tape religiously, just like the Kiss My Ass VHS. So all right, true confessions. Robbie gave us one here. So he said, imagine if Bob Ezrin produced this album. We all know he would have snuck in Dick Wagner to play the solo on Watching You. Eddie Kramer did a super job mixing this album. Yes, I agree.
Yep.
So for me, you know, again, to sort of rehash on something, this should have been a Live 4 at least. We definitely should have had an Alive 3, you know, years before this with Eric and Bruce, or even Vinny and Eric for that matter. But I'd prefer Eric and Bruce, to be honest. You know, and again, Animalized Uncensored should have been a Live 3. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face. I'm sure a lot of Kiss fans agree, and thankfully we have, you know, a great video of that and, you know, audio if you prefer to listen to the radio broadcast version versus the audio that's on the tape, since they doctored it. But either way, I enjoy it. Well, let's see. Yeah. And then again, songs that they should have included on here. First of all, Take It Off should have been on the release from the get-go. It shouldn't have been Japanese only and then later added, because Take It Off is one of the highlights of the show to me, especially visually, and you know why. And again, that's like one of those moments in history that we'll never see again, especially not today.
Yeah.
Them doing things like that. And how cool would that be to see live? But yeah, songs like Parasite, you know, like you said, Tears. You know, we know they were doing Tears on this tour. Things like that would have been great. But and then again, like to reiterate earlier, they should have done a more proper tribute to Eric on, you know, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, especially. And as far as Eric Singer, they should have included his drum solo, because he did a pretty impressive drum solo on this tour. You know, let alone the Oh Susanna thing was a fun little thing that they added to it. If you watch the video, like when I think of Eric's solo, I think of those lasers. So when you watch the video and get that visual on top of that and the double bass and everything going, yeah. So that's another thing they missed out on the audio side of it, is they should have put in the solo, and because that's definitely something Alive was kind of known for. You know, Alive 1 and Alive 2, we always had the drum and guitar solos, and then Alive 3, nothing, not even a guitar solo. So those are really my little nitpick / confessions that I wish they would have done for this. But like I said, it's definitely my favorite sounding live album. I still got to give the edge to Live 2, but as far as overall sound quality, yeah, this one definitely takes it for that.
Nice. Yeah, we essentially have the same confession, honestly. I essentially wrote a whole paragraph complaining about why this should have been a Live 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that. And I wouldn't, because I feel like the Hot in the Shade tour would have been another prime candidate for an Alive album, but that I feel like if they had done that, we wouldn't have gotten this. Yeah. So I'm not willing to trade it. I love this. I want one with Eric Carr, and I totally agree. I would like to have Bruce and Eric. I would have settled for Vinny and Eric, but Bruce and Eric for sure. But I wouldn't trade this one for that either. But yeah, I also said Animalized Live Uncensored was the prime candidate. It was right freaking there, and they just jumped right over it.
Yeah.
If they had done that, they could have fit two almost. This could have been Alive 5. They could have fit two more in that gap. There were so many years in between Alive 2 and Alive 3,
Oh,
and
yeah.
it still wouldn't have been like beating the Alive thing to death. Man, I wish they had done another one. And I specifically remember Kissology 2 was about to come out. They aired the 1980 Australia concert on some channel. I don't remember what it was. But we made it a special event. This was when Kids, the Kiss tribute band, was together, and they all came over to our house, and we were so excited to watch this concert because it was the first time we were going to see Eric Carr live. None of us, because Dad didn't go to Kiss concerts in that period. We were all too young. Eric Carr died the year I was born. So this was the first time we were ever going to see Eric Carr live, one of the biggest rock and roll drummers of the 80s and 90s and one of Kiss's most important members. And we had never seen him live till that performance. What a shame that that they didn't release something official until then.
Yeah, it's, sometimes I even think that maybe they should have done a Live 3, like even after Unmasked tour, to be honest, because you had all that Unmasked material and Dynasty and even that solo album material.
Yep.
They almost could have done a Live 3 around then, and then this could have been a Live 4, or Animalized and Censored could be a Live 4. And then, and again, just so anyone doesn't get confused, when I say it should be a Live 4, that doesn't mean they should have done a symphony with it. It just should have been called a Live 4.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, it could have even gone that route. And then this one here that we know is a Live 3 could have technically been a Live 5.
Yep.
Robbie said he read a long time ago that Animalized Uncensored was possibly going to be a Live 3, but Paul disapproved of it because of all the songs were all sped up with Carr's crazy fast pace. Well, I know it's what it is, but that's where the band was at too, man. They were on fire, and they were kind of at their heaviest at that time. And I think the audio on the home video version that's all fixed up is perfect. That should have been on an album.
Mm-hmm.
People say if you listen to the actual radio broadcast, it is different, and it is, because you're getting that raw live, little things here and there that happen, but I truly think that version on the video, and which tends to be the version that a lot of people circulate for the bootleg, that should have been the official thing. And who knows, maybe Kiss will release that and call it one of these off the soundboard things, or maybe it'll be another show from that era, or at least an Eric Carr era that we can feel proud enough to say, okay, this makes up for not having an Alive with him, because now we've got a great perfect soundboard concert with Eric on it here. And this makes up for it. I'm hoping is what will happen eventually. Javier's true confession is, of all the non-makeup albums, this one should have included a booklet and a colored vinyl release. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because for those that weren't familiar, they released the vinyl in red, white, and blue. So there you go, playing along with that. The version I have is the white, and then it was numbered. I had Eric and Bruce sign it recently. I forgot about that until I pulled it out.
Nice.
I also think they should have made a poster of the family tree. That should have been like a poster too.
Yeah. Does it say Tommy Iommi on yours?
Yeah.
Why didn't they fix that?
And then Michael Bolton is spelled Tin.
What?
And it's not even Bolaton like it was at that time. It's Bolton.
Jeez.
So, all right, we got these final tallies ready.
Absolutely. Okay, so you guys saw R2 on here. We are also counting in several other votes. We've got Steve McGowan. He gave this album an 8 out of 10 in his top 3. Detroit Rock City, Creatures of the Night, and Unholy. Rochelle McGowan gave this a 10 out of 10, perfect 10 score.
Wow.
Her top 3, Lick It Up, Heavens on Fire and Creatures of the Night. We've got Robbie Stars' 9 that he had in his comments here. And then we're also counting several votes from last time we did this episode. So we've got mine from last time. I gave this a 7.5, and my top 3 were Unholy, Deuce, and Creatures of the Night. Eli, yours last time, you gave this an 8. Last time, your top 3, Deuce, Creatures of the Night, and Unholy.
Huh.
My dad last time gave this a 7 out of 10. His top 3, where's 3? I Love It Loud, Unholy, and Domino. Steve McGowan last time gave this a 7. His top 3, I Was Made for Loving You, Creatures of the Night, and I Still Love You. Jay Rucker gave this a 7.5. His top 3, Domino, Creatures of the Night, and I Just Wanna. Jay's dad gave this an 8.5. Robbie last time gave this a 7.5. Rochelle McGowan last time gave this a 7, and her top 3, I Was Made for Loving You, Forever, and I Still Love You. Gianni Ottaviani gave this a 7, and Jacob Hicks gave this an 8. So, putting that all together.
Sorry, I was just scouring Facebook, and your dad posted an old picture of the kids' tribute.
Oh.
And he said, when I met Kiss, I thought they'd be taller.
Dang it. Oh, that's good. That's good. So this album ended up with a 7.9 average overall out of 10, which is pretty good. That puts it 0.1 above Revenge, actually. Revenge ended with 7.8, so 7.9 is pretty high up.
Where does it rank among the other two, Elias?
Hey, that's a good question. I shouldn't have closed that already.
Because I was going to say, with all these people that pick Alive 2 as their favorite 2, then that tells me Alive 2 should be the highest ranked one.
Right, you would think. So, Alive 2 had an 8.1, which is better, but just barely. And
Right
Alive had 8.9.
Oh, so Alive 2 isn't the best in everyone's votes there.
Actually, okay. I was going to say Alive and the first album are tied for first, but no, they are tied for second place with Creatures of the Night beating them with 9.6 average.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. So for last place this time, 16th place, Star Spangled Banner. Pretty hefty margin there, too, in last place. In 15th place, Rock and Roll All Night. 14th, God Gave Rock and Roll to You Too. In 13th place, Domino. In 12th place, I Love It Loud. 11th place, I Just Wanna. 10th place, Detroit Rock City. In 9th place, Forever. In 8th place, I Still Love You. 7th place, Lick It Up. In 6th place, Heavens on Fire. In 5th place, Watching You. And our top 4 for this time, in 4th place, I Was Made for Loving You. In 3rd place, Deuce. In 2nd place, Unholy. And in 1st place, Creatures of the Night.
I like that.
Definitely.
All right. So wrapping up Alive 3 here. So like I said, next week we're going to go straight to Unplugged. And can't wait to revisit that one again too, because I mean we're probably going to be repeating a lot of the stuff we said on this episode and that one too, because another great sounding concert video, all that great stuff. So it's another one that's definitely fun to always revisit, and we'll probably be blowing our number one with the very first song. Spoiler alert.
That is a fair probability there. Yeah.
So I was just noticing on the KISS website, speaking of that Shout It Out Loud anniversary earlier, there's actually a whole Shout Out Loud anniversary merchandise line that they released.
Nice.
Shirts and a mug and hats and so yeah, pretty cool. Danish cover is what that was. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, guys. Well, I guess that's going to do it then for this week. And as always, we thank you all for showing up and participating. We definitely appreciate the support. It was cool to hear and see some new names pop up as well. So, please continue supporting and spread the word. And so we will be back next week for Unplugged. So until then, everyone take care, be good, and we'll